Welcome back to another episode of Uploaded and Unfiltered, the podcast in which I, your host Jermaine, talks about the creative journey, not only for me, but other creators thus far. Today, we have another solo podcast, and I am going to talk about a subject that I've been meaning to talk about for quite some time. I'm super excited to talk about it, and that subject is the subconscious and how the subconscious works, and how sometimes we are doing a lot of harm to ourselves rather than good, just by the way we are talking to ourselves, just by the way we are talking about our lives out loud to others. There's a lot of things that we are doing that our subconscious is picking up that we are subconsciously sabotaging ourselves and we don't even know it. So today is going to be an awesome talk about that. And I'm also going to dive into the J. Cole fiasco. And if you don't know about it, you're not a hip hop head, I will clue you in on what's going on with that and how I feel about the situation. So without further ado, let's go ahead and dive deep and jump into my first subject of the evening, the subconscious mind. Now, when I was growing up, I always heard about the subconscious, like how it ran our lives, how there were dark secrets that it was thinking that we didn't know about, that we couldn't tap into. But I always had this feeling, well, for the longest, I didn't think I had a subconscious. I thought everything I was doing was very conscious and I was aware of what I was doing. And unfortunately, or fortunately, that is not how our minds work. Everybody has a subconscious. Some of us are tapped into our subconscious more than others. Some of us can manipulate our subconscious more than others. But at the end of the day, everybody has the subconscious. So, what is the subconscious and how does it work? For decades, scientists have been trying to figure out what the subconscious is, the unconscious, how it works, where it lies dormant. But in a popular documentary called "What the Bleep Do We Know Now" by Joe Dispenza, he said that our human brain processes over 4 billion bits of information per second. However, our conscious mind only does about 2,000 of those 400 billion bits of information. So, to simply put it, we are processing a ton of information and our subconscious is handling damn near all of it. So, the main reason why our subconscious mind processes most of that information is because our conscious mind would be overpowered by all the processing information that we have to do about reality. So rather than consciously try to make all of these connections and, oh, this is that, our subconscious handles damn near all of it. And it's basically a filter for us to filter out the unnecessary things that we don't need and go forward for what makes sense in our life. So with that being said, I want to go down a list of 15 facts about the subconscious mind, talk about a little bit about each of them and how we can use this information to not only get what we want out of life, get what we desire, but maybe explain why we feel sometimes lazy when it comes to making content, why we feel that imposter syndrome sometimes when we make content. It all has to come back to the subconscious mind. So, without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and jump into these 15 amazing facts about the subconscious mind. And hopefully, you learned something new that you didn't know before. Let's go ahead and start with number one. The subconscious mind cannot distinguish between reality and an imagination. And this is probably my favorite fact about the subconscious mind because I personally use this to my advantage. So, have you ever watched a scary movie or a terrifying movie and something bad happens? You get those flutters in your heart. Your brain is acting as if that scene was happening to you. That's the way that I mean that your subconscious mind cannot tell the difference between reality and something that is fake. our brain sees the image and reacts as if it was happening to us. And we've all experienced that. We watched a scary movie or we played a scary game. You get those flutters where the killer's right behind you or they're in the next room and you can hear them breathing. You start acting out the emotions as if you were in that scene. And again, that's one of the simplest ways to show us that our subconscious cannot distinguish between reality and imagination. I would go further in that and say, so those things that we are thinking about, like if I'm thinking about speaking in front of 100 people and I have a sense of nervousness as I'm thinking about it, my brain does not know or subconscious does not know that that's fake. So it's going to start putting up barriers, start getting me to try to not do those things, start making me feel anxious, starts making me feel stressful. So I will say, you know what? I'm not going to get up in front of these people and talk. It's all a subconscious mind trying to keep us safe. Next up, we have the subconscious does not understand negation. And this one is it's crazy because we've been told that we need to manifest and make affirmations and a lot of us have been doing that incorrectly. The subconscious doesn't understand words like unhappy or unintelligent or can't or don't. So I don't want to eat all the ice cream in the morning. Our brain doesn't know what that means. So guess what's going to happen? We're probably going to eat all the ice cream. So in order for us to talk to our subconscious, we need to understand that negation is not something that it understands. I think once we fully realize that, it will go a long way in getting our subconscious to be on our side and help us tackle some of these problems that we have in the world. Number three, the subconscious mind is influenced by repetition. You probably heard this a number of times, and it is a scientific fact that our subconscious enjoys routines. So anytime that we have a goal, it is a very good idea to not only write it down, but to visualize how that goal would play out if you were to achieve it. Not only is that going to feed your subconscious images of you achieving that goal, but it's also going to set up the repetition that your brain loves. So you keep doing the same thing over and over and over, kind of like a boring ass 9 to 5. Your subconscious gets used to that and influences you to keep that repetition going. Number four, faces we see in dreams actually come from real life. Now, this tripped me up because unfortunately, I don't really dream when it comes to me going to sleep. When I go to bed at night, I usually go to sleep. I wake up, it's the next morning. But for you, but for those of you who actually have the luxury of dreaming when you go to sleep, apparently all of those faces you are seeing in dreams are from real life. So chances are you actually be able to recognize their faces. Perhaps it was an old friend or somebody from a movie, or maybe somebody you just saw walking through the mall. But all those faces are real, which is kind of creepy, but also awesome because unfortunately, I don't know if this fact is on this list, but our subconscious records everything that we see with our eyes and filters out 90% of it so we can not go crazy, basically. Number five, the subconscious likes the subconscious mind likes symbols. If you like to equate, let's say, getting a big promotion to that's kind of like the sun rising in the east or something of that nature. Like, for example, if you dream about your favorite animal, that animal could represent you. Or if you dream about walking in the garden or and you notice flowers from a specific pattern, that could represent the environment where you last saw that exact pattern. So that's why I think things like company logos are so burned into our brains. Like everybody knows what the McDonald's logo looks like. Everybody knows what Chick-fil-A, all of these different logos and symbols in our lives, our brains love that. So I think that might contribute to why we are such a capitalistic community as far as a capitalistic society because these symbols are feeding parts of our subconscious that we love and we just gravitate towards them. Number 6, the subconscious mind can cause physical symptoms or sickness. I guess I didn't really realize this, but according to this article, anything that so have you ever been around somebody and felt really nauseous or lightheaded or shortness of breath? I feel like that is a physical symptom of your subconscious mind telling you that either you're in a situation that you're not well equipped for, or you are talking to somebody that does not have your best interest in heart. I don't know if I can think of any personal causes of physical sickness from my subconscious mind, but I'm sure they're there. It's on this list. So I'm going to go ahead and say it's one, but it's not one that I experienced myself. Number seven, all your decisions have already been made. This one is a hard one to hear because of course we all like to think that we have choice and that we are consciously making decisions throughout our lives, but a lot of our decisions that we make in our lives are already they're already done for us because we have attached meanings to a variety of different situations, and rather than consciously making that decision, our subconscious is like, you know what, we already handled this in the past, I got this is what we think about this, and we move forward. The problem with that is a lot of lessons that we have learned in the past may be detrimental to not only our mental health, but to us growing to our higher being, our higher selves, our higher calling. And it is very important that we take a look at those lessons that are attached to these different situations that our subconscious is pulling from, like a database, and make sure that we are still in tune, that we still believe those lessons that we learned. Number eight, the subconscious mind likes silence. And this one is awesome because I have been meditating a lot over the last couple of years, and I have noticed that the more I meditate, the more that I take time out to take those 10, 20, 30 minutes of silence and just try to meditate and clear out my mind. I have become more patient. I have become more present. I'm happier. I am less stressed out because I'm not thinking about all of the different things that could go wrong. I'm more focused on what is going right, what I am grateful for, and what I want to and will accomplish in the future. So, taking those times out to just silence your mind and let it just live in silence is very beneficial and crucial for your subconscious mind. So you can actually communicate with your subconscious mind, figure out what, well, again, those lessons that have been tied to these different events, and make sure that, hey, these are still serving me. Let's keep them going. And if not, eradicate them and replace them with something that does serve you. Number nine, oh, here it is. The subconscious mind records everything. And like I said, this part is wild. So anytime you think you saw something and you don't really have a concrete memory of it, your subconscious mind recorded it and it's put it somewhere. It filed it away. So maybe you can use that information later. But keep in mind, when you are out and about and it is very busy and when you are not present, remember the 90% of our actions are taken care of the subconscious mind. And if the subconscious mind is recording everything, there is a slew of things that are getting put into our psyche, that are getting put into our subconscious that we don't have any control over. If we are not consciously taking in entertainment, taking in information, if we're not consciously watching these different videos on social media, 90% of that shit is entering our subconscious. And again, we don't have any control over that. Number 10, all dreams are all manifestation. All dreams are all manifestations of desires. This one I liked because just do this. I did this with my daughter earlier. If you look around your room, everything in your room and your vicinity is something that was once an idea that became a physical piece of this world because somebody put the effort to make it happen. But everything that you see around you, whether from your Apple Watch or your computer, your phone, any of that stuff, all started as an idea. So keep that in mind, what you will. As creators, all of our ideas start in our mind, and eventually they end up on social media, they end up on YouTube, they end up on TikTok. And I think that is one of the most powerful things, not only to remember, but to keep in mind when we are having those doubts about ourselves. We are some magical motherfuckers. We created things out of thin air and we are providing that to the world to digest. I think that is the greatest ability that we have and something that I don't want us to forget about. We manifest dreams that come from desires. Simple as that. Number 11, your subconscious makes you do things on autopilot. All right. This one goes without saying. I know a lot of you, if you haven't done this, this has happened to me. I've been driving somewhere, not thinking about how to get there, but it's somewhere I've been millions of times. So I get in the car, I start driving, and next thing I know, I end up where I need to be. I didn't get there magically. My subconscious took over. I guess I tuned out, and boom, here we are. uh, Number 12, the subconscious mind thinks it's probably more the subconscious mind is probably more powerful than we think. That's a cop out. I don't know why they put that on here, and of course it is. There's things about the subconscious mind that we just don't know. Things like intuition, gut feelings, premonition, telepathy, or precognitive dreams. All of these things have been associated with subconsciousness, and I think there are more studies going into it. I don't know anything about that, but I do believe that I have a very good gut feeling and intuition when it comes to things. And I think it's important for us to tap into those feelings. I've said it my entire life. There have been things that happen. I used to be quiet. I used to sit in the sidelines and watch things play out. And 95% of the shit that I was like, oh, this is going to happen, that shit happened. Now, you can go two ways with this. You can either think that, oh man, this motherfucker is very he's able to manifest things out of thin air because he's thinking it, or B, his intuition is on point, and if he sees a situation and feels a certain way about it, 9 times out of 10, that's what's going to happen. I like to go with the latter. I don't want to think that I'm thinking all these horrible things and they're coming to fruition. But again, I've been changing the way I think about not only my life, but just life in general. So I am more positive. So maybe we'll go with that. Maybe I am influencing the world around me. Number 13, your subconscious mind can make you lazy. Well, okay. I'm gonna just go ahead and read the last sentence in this paragraph because this made the most sense to me. These could be coincidences, but when it happens more than once or absolutely perfect timing, it's definitely our subconscious mind being lazy or trying to protect your mental health and make you avoid unnecessary stress, in which you should be grateful for it. So essentially, let's say we were late to work every day. Our brain, our subconscious mind knows that maybe there's something stressful at work that we don't want to deal with. Maybe there is a situation at work that we can't handle. Our brain is making us lazy and saying, "Hey, maybe we should stay home," because our subconscious is trying to keep us away from danger. But of course, in the outside world, we're just saying, "Oh, you're late. You're not a good worker," all that bullshit. So I kind of see that one. But I think that is something good. I think that is a fact to be aware of as well. That the subconscious mind can potentially make you lazy. Number 14, you can become better at something just by thinking about it. This is another one of my favorite hacks of the subconscious mind. I'm gonna go back to this. I haven't talked about it in a while, but I used to run a race, a 5K, 10K, 15K, half marathon, whatever it may be for the month, one a month for the longest. I think I was at a streak of like 3 years before COVID came around and ruined all that fun. But there was a situation where, and I remember it distinctly because in my brain, it made so much sense. Now, up until this point, I was running regularly, but not enough to do, in hindsight, what I wanted to do. And so I told my wife, I was like, hey, there's a race in Orlando. It's called the Best Damn Race. There's a 5K, there's a I think there was a half marathon, there was a 10K, but there was also a challenge. So the challenge was, in order to get 3 medals, you would have to first run a 10K, and then like 30 minutes later run a 5K. In doing so, you got the 10K medal, you got the 5K medal, and you got the big medal saying, yeah, I did both of these shits. And I remember seeing that option, and I was like, no hesitation. Granted, I was probably 5 or 6 races deep at this point. I looked at that and I was like, yo, I'm doing that. That's me. That's what I'm doing. That. That's 3 medals. I love medals. And basically, so I signed up for it. I told my wife, I was like, hey, I'm about to do 2 races this coming Saturday. And of course, anybody would thought that. She was like, are you serious? And I was like, yeah. And she's like, 2 races? I was like, yeah. A 10K and a 5K? And I was like, yeah. But in my mind, I saw myself doing it. I saw myself doing it repeatedly. I didn't even think anything of it. I was like, a 10K, that's more of a challenge. I can bang that thing out in probably like less than an hour, take a little water break, and then knock out the 5K. Like, even if I walk the 5K, I'm still going to do it. And I ran both of those things. And that was just another thing showing me that if we think it, if we put it in our mind, if we visualize it enough, our subconscious mind is going to go to work and figure out how to get that done. The last option, the last fact on this piece of paper is the subconscious mind has no days off. 24/7. When we're asleep, when we're awake, the subconscious mind is going to work. It's doing things and it's constantly on. So that's why I am a very big component of watching the content that we are ingesting, watching the people that we are around, watching how we talk about ourselves, how we talk about our situations. All of these things are a factor on how we feel as a as how we feel as people, is how we move in regards to our content. We have a large control over a lot of things, and unfortunately our subconscious mind is one of those things that I think a lot of us have been ignoring for so long, but it's something that we can take control over and use for good, use to get us out of those ruts, to achieve things that we never thought possible. But it all starts with how you think about yourself. It all starts with how you are moving through this world and how you are interacting with everybody. I truly believe that. There was a incident that happened a couple weeks ago, maybe 3 or 4 weeks ago, with a couple of streamer friends, and I got onto the stream and they were complaining hardcore about streaming, about content. And it's wild when you change your thinking, when you change your mindset, the things that you used to do like are sticking out like sore thumbs. They're screaming at me. And unfortunately, like I got to a point where I'm like, all right, well, I don't think this way anymore. So what's the move? And I landed on this. In order for me to put my stamp on this world, to be that change that I want to see in the world, I just gotta start putting that content out. I need to start acting differently, and I need to start speaking up when those situations pop up for me. Now, in the past, I know we all think, oh, there's this guy's, oh, let's say somebody's on a diet. And I use this example because it was told to me not too long ago and it resonated with me. Let's say you got the friend that used to be a big mofo. He used to usually eat everything, but now he's on a diet and now he's telling everybody else, he's like, yo, I'm on a diet, I'm eating right, I'm watching my calories. Some people get annoyed when other people are doing good for themselves and they're excited about doing good for themselves. And so when you're excited about something, what do you tend to do? You tend to talk about it more. People in the past, I have noticed this, will get upset at those people. And I have different thoughts on why. But at the end of the day, if those people are your friends, if they're loved ones, if they're people you rock with, you should not get mad at somebody trying to better themselves. If anything, you should encourage it and encourage that speak when it comes up. That's going to be me. I'm going to be that guy saying, "Hey, I know that in the past we would say, oh, this is super hard, but it's not. It's not. I think we're making it harder than it should be, and it's not that hard. I know that we get on the soapbox and we're like, oh, streaming so hard, and it's just challenge. I'm not saying it's the easiest thing in the world, But when you're passionate about what you love and you forget about all of the things that make streaming hard, don't think about those shits. Like those are no longer a factor in your life. Let's just focus on what's dope, what you've been doing that's great, what you do that's amazing, and see how easier it is to stream, to make content. So yeah, that's the kick that I'm on for the rest of my life, is trying to get people to be more positive about not only their content but just about their plights in life, and not focus on the negative so much. The more we focus on that negative or those things that we don't want out in our life, I promise you we're going to get those shits in tenfold. The more we focus on the things that we want out of life, the more we focus on the things that are working well, the more that we focus on the things that excite us, our subconscious mind will refocus what it's doing on those things to make sure that those things happen more. When scary situations come up, we need to make sure to rewrite the data that our subconscious is reading in order to not stop us from doing shit in the future. So if our brain thinks, or our subconscious mind thinks that it's public speaking that is terrifying, it's going to be hard as fuck for us to do any public speaking because our subconscious mind is a motherfucker and will keep us from doing those things. I think at the end of the day, it is very important to remember that we create our own realities. What we think, the way that we filter information from the world, the different situations, the different ways that we can look at situations. If we look at those situations as positive, or we look at those situations as ones that we can learn stuff from to push our better selves forward, then I think everything becomes a little easier. Here's a crazy example. Let's say it's raining outside. Simple as fuck. It's raining outside. I'm not gonna say if it's pouring or anything. It's just raining outside. One person can see that and be like, "It's raining outside." Hear the inflection of my voice. The other person can see that and be like, "Oh, it's raining outside." The same situation, two perspectives, two different feelings on the situation. That's how, again, that's how I'm moving through life. A bill comes up, damn, a bill came up. It's cool. We got the money to pay for it. I'm not thinking, oh my God, a bill came up. It's $4,000. Oh my God, where am I going to get this money from? Fuck all that. Money is abundant. It's everywhere. Money falls out of trees. Like I'm no longer stressed about where am I gonna get money to pay a bill. Like that's those days are gone. So yeah, I we gotta take hold of our reality. We gotta take hold of what we let into our minds, because again, 95% of our brain activity we are not consciously aware of. That means a lot of stuff is swimming around in there that maybe we don't have control over. Maybe things that were told to us that we just believed all willy-nilly and never went back and questioned. Now's the time to question those things. Now is the time to question, okay, so if I'm feeling this way, this is what I'm doing, and this person's hating on it. Usually, I know family members hate on my things all the time, and that's just how people show love. No, that's bullshit. If somebody, family member, friend, anybody is downplaying something that you want to create, if they're shitting on something that you want to do in life that is going to better you, that is something that you feel is beneficial for you to bring to the world, and they're shitting on it, fuck that person. We are no longer allowing people that are blood relatives or who are super close to us stopping us from achieving the dreams that we want. Simple as that. Before I end this podcast, I do want to talk about the J. Cole situation. I'm not going to go too deep in it, but he did put out an album kind of referring back to Kendrick, uh, snapping back a little bit, but he recently put out a apology to Kendrick, to Mr. K. Dot, saying he was like, you know what, I was gonna go back and forth with you, but over the last couple of days, like it didn't sit right in my spirit. I'm not trying to go at you like that. I appreciate what you do as an artist, and you're good at what you do. And like, to me, I know a lot of hip hop heads are upset that he's not going back at Kendrick with bars for bar, but I feel like, and a lot of people are saying this is competition. This is how you show competition. You got to go back at them. You got to beef, blah, blah, blah. No, you don't. That's, that's That's a bullshit. You don't have to do that. That's a lie. Like, if we keep saying it doesn't make it true. Like, J. Cole can flex how good he is as an artist, as a lyricist, without downplaying or shitting on somebody else. That's it. And if you don't see that, if you don't believe that, then I can't help you. Like, you're stuck in this part of reality where you think you need to shit on somebody to push somebody down in order to show how much better you are. I just don't believe that shit anymore. So shout out to J. Cole for doing what he did. That took balls. He's not the like he's not the best person in the world. There's been some controversial shit that he's done in the past, but to come out in the status that he is in and say what he did, nothing but have nothing but good word for him. Like, that took balls. That is taking this toxic this toxic masculinity that is just permeating throughout our culture and saying, no, I don't want to do that. I'm not part of that shit. So big ups to him. I think that shit was dope. Other than that, I appreciate y'all listening. Again, if you haven't already, go ahead and subscribe to the podcast. If you have any questions in regards to the subconscious mind, definitely shoot them my way. I am going to talk more about this because, again, I think there are a lot of things that we as creators or we as people are doing unintentionally, we're doing on accident that is hindering our progress as people. Not only as just people, but as creators. So the more we talk about it, the more we can understand what the subconscious is. We figure out how to get it on our side. And I think everything will be great for that. The last thing I'm gonna say, and this is for all my gamers out there who are on the fence, are like, I don't know about the subconscious shit. Have you ever played a game in which, let's say you were playing this shit for hours and there was a puzzle that came up and you just could not figure out how to get past this puzzle? You're sitting there beating yourself up. You're like, it's a video game. I should be able to beat this. I don't know how to do it. So you put the game down. You go to sleep. While you're sleeping, your subconscious mind is working on that problem. You might not have known that, but you've had the feeling of waking up the next day, going to that same exact puzzle and destroying it, right? That's because your subconscious mind, while you were taking a nap, taking a little sleep, because your subconscious mind does not sleep, it went to work on that problem. It solved that problem, and then you were able to do it consciously when you woke up. I feel like every issue that we have in life, whether it's how to make $1 million or how to grow my following or how to become more active in a community, I feel like all of those things can be solved by a subconscious mind while we're sleeping. So when I find out more tools like that, I will definitely be passing them along. But until then, as always, protect your mental, keep creating content, and I will talk to you on the next one. Peace.